LifeHakx. Technology, business, multimedia, wellness and health, events, reviews, and more. LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X.
This is why actually people call this wetware computing.
Yes.
Because wet,
Okay.
always wet environment. So you have, and here you can see here what is called a multi-electrode array, where you have actually, well, we don't see very well here, but you have 4 arrays of electrodes, okay? And each array of electrodes, we put a brain organoid, okay? And with this tube here, we can bring the medium that is going to feed them and to gather the waste. Hello, I'm Fred. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO actually of the company named Final Spark, where we are working on bioprocessors, which may become the processors of the future, or one way of computing for the future. People, there are different names, okay? Wetware computing, wetware, okay, like opposed like software, hardware, and wetware. I mean, it's kind of funny. I like it. But there's also people calling biocomputers, okay, or organoid intelligence, okay. So this may be this is in the general class of so-called unconventional computing techniques. This is biocomputers are one of them. And there's another one which is very well known, which are quantum computers, for instance. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, it's a total game changer. Okay. Once this works, because there is no doubt it's going to work at some point, because we have the living proof that nervous tissue can process information. This is what we are doing together. I mean, it's going to work. There is no question about this. And it's going to consume less energy. There is no question neither about this, because when you have 1 million of difference of processing efficiency, okay, even if you factor in any other additional things that you have to do to maintain those culture, you can still have 1,000, okay, a ratio of 1,000. You already solved the problem. Okay, it's the same thing like LED lighting versus the old bulbs. You know, basically you have no energy problem at all. This is solved. If you consider one biological neuron, for instance, consider that if you want to simulate one biological neuron with artificial neurons, okay, you can interpolate the mathematical function of the transfer function, you would need thousands of them. There has been a publication on this actually, okay? Based on what we know about about neurons. And what we know about neurons is still in progress, okay? So in this sense, yes, it's going to be way more compact. That's correct, if you have this in mind. First, I'm not sure this problem is totally new because stem cells are induced pluripotent stem cells, the one that we used, which come from human beings actually, have been used already for some time for medical applications. Okay, so your question is appropriate for us, but it's even hotter for other systems if you do some new skin, for instance, for someone who has been burnt using his own stem cells or the stem cells of someone else. So this is a general question. So there is no problem of legality at this point. All what we do is absolutely respectful of all the laws. The question at this point is not here. The question is more ethical, okay, which is beyond only law. Okay, so is it acceptable to do this? And what are the questions which this kind of research is actually asking to us also as human beings? Can we just consider that living neuron is just like a transistor, a computing machine, and can we use it? And these are ethical and philosophical questions. And I must say, I'm no expert in philosophy. I mean, my PhD is in signal processing, you know. So. Absolutely. Well, if you consider that what we're doing basically falls in the class of electrophysiology. Okay. Electrophysiology has been there since 40 years. Okay, so this is not new by essence. Okay, and of course we could use also animal cells, so animal neurons. Okay, and this is already done in the world. Now you have to consider something. Each time you do a startup, something very innovative, I would say. Yeah. Okay, you have to think that maybe there are some applications that you didn't expect, that are even more important than what you had in mind initially.
In the future,
yes.
Think forward. Okay.
And if I have unexpected applications, I better have human neurons, because if there's medical applications, you know,
okay. Yes.
I have nothing against pets, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
First, I don't feel that we are going to do medical space at all. Okay, this is absolutely not the goal. I would just answering that we use human neurons in case I have, because when you do innovation, you have to be ready for the unexpected.
So what are you expecting?
So what I'm expecting, much more, I mean, conservatively, I would say, is, I don't know if it's if it's this conservatism, actually is to be a competitor of Amazon Web Services. Oh. Okay, this is my goal. What I want is that in 10 to 12 years, we are able to make a factory, okay, like a computing center. The nervous tissue with 100 meters by 100 meters by 30 centimeters thick, and this is going to serve millions of people. Yes, it's difficult from any biotechnology. Today you have, for instance, bacteria, which are used to produce medicines. Okay, and this has been going on for easily 20 years. There are factories which produce routinely this with living organisms successfully. A neuron is a living cell, and bad things may happen. Of course, you can make mistake, but this is no impossible task. I mean, we've done it for several years. People have been working in this field for 30 years. We have right now here about 2,000 brain organoids that we keep living for years. So no, there is no. It's I wouldn't say it's easy. Okay, but. So when we talk about cells, we talk about neurons and glial cells. There are two types of cells in your brain, okay, normally. And now there are two conditions for living in biocomputing in general, and in our case, is that you have, I would say, maintenance, okay, where you have basically wells, plastic wells, when you have liquid, and you have these brain organoids floating, okay. And then it's moving, typically in orbital shaker, it's always moving at 80 rounds per minute, like this, okay. We can keep them for years like this, okay, no problem. But it's perfectly useless, because we don't interact with them. And the problem starts when we start interacting. It's like a quantum mechanics. So yes. You take this living organism and you connect to electrodes. Electrodes is definitely not organic, you know, this is platinum, okay? And then you have this flow of medium, you have maybe air, you have a lot of things which are different. And right now the record of lifespan is 7 months that we got, okay? Consider that 4 years ago we had a few hours of lifespan. Wow. Yeah, this is really fundamental research at this point, okay? So, so that means fundamentally, I mean, it's about training, learning, okay? Trying to find a way which is generic, so that for any brain organoids that you put on these electrodes, we are able to adapt and change their connections, so that the output that we have is the output we expect for a given input. And knowing that a lot of people are using our brain organoids, not only us, because it's connected to the internet, so we have an interface, and we have 9 universities which are using them remotely. So. There are two ways to do biology. There is in vivo, you have a rat in a maze, for instance, okay? And you have in vitro, okay? In our case, we do in vitro. Now we're talking about learning. What is the learning process? Learning process has been studied in the last half century in vivo. A lot, hundreds of thousands of publications. I would say in vitro, you have maybe, I don't know, a few tens of publications. This is only what you have. Basically, we don't know. And we have to know. No, I said one of the reasons to use human cells was for unexpected medical applications. Okay, you can consider, for instance, if tomorrow you have, this is pure science fiction. You have, for instance, a disease, okay, or a cancer. Okay, we can culture neurons with exactly the same DNA as you. Okay, so potentially we could prepare some brain organoids could replace some parts that we remove from your brain with a brain organoid which is 100% compliant. And we know, based on our experiments, so these are in vitro, okay? I'm not saying anything for in vivo, but for in vitro, I can tell you that if you take two brain organoids with the same DNA, the same donor, that we do this regularly, and you put them in contact, they're going to fuse very nicely in just a few days. So it's always very easy for them. They love each other. They love to connect. This is a natural process. So there could be medical applications like this for specialized medicine.
LifeHakx.com. That's with a K and an X.
So yes, it's really an open innovation approach. Okay, so we welcome people. Okay. That's the first thing, okay? And we have a Discord server.
Yes,
where you can come here. You don't have to be qualified. We have students from 7 to whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? You come, you ask your question, okay? And we are happy to answer. Now, if we talk about contributing, okay? The first thing is read the literature, okay? I mean, it's not good. If you think you have a wonderful idea, but you don't have scientific culture, it's not going to be serious. That's for sure. Okay, there is no genius. There are just people working. So you have to do your homework. Okay, because I see this. We have too many people who come and say they have invented something, but they don't understand. Yeah, don't understand what they're talking about. Okay, so it doesn't matter for us if it's a young guy without any education. I just don't care. What I care about the idea and what he has in their head. Not about the diploma or age or status, just don't care, okay? And if the people gather all these qualities, what they can do is that they can propose a project to us. Say, here is what I want to test with your neurons, okay? And if it's something that we've never done or that it's interesting and makes sense, and I will give free access to these people so they can test it, okay? So I think Discord is the best place. Okay, they can, because they are public, and there is a question section. So it's wonderful that people ask that question here because everyone can benefit. If they ask a question to me, I have to answer to every question that comes from all over the world. I can't. So, but here I know it's going to be useful for others, and others than me may sometimes I reply maybe to 1/3 of the questions on Discord, and others are replying to the others. Now, I mean, investors, I would say, above 1 million of investment, then maybe you can send an email.
LifeHakx. LifeHakx.com.